Hi guys, this is Pam again from the Woolly Dragon. Uh, just beware, this is going to be kind of a little bit of a rambly kind of video. Um, it was very windy. This was filmed mostly on April 5th, and it was a kind of a windy day, so I had to go through and pretty much eliminate several clips that I had filmed that day. So I'm going to make this as coherent as I possibly can. I may try putting in like captions and stuff like that just in case it's a little difficult to hear. But basically, this is just a little tour all over the place in my gardens. Little view of the bees every once in a while. And then I have a follow-up video that I have to put together that I'll probably post in a couple of days. I have to get that one pieced together as well. And so basically you can just kind of sort of see how things are kind of progressing. It always amazes me in the spring how fast things grow. You go all winter long and you think, oh, well, I can plant this over here and there won't be a big problem with, the grass or weeds or anything growing. It'll be fine. It's nice, it's a nice little area. And then come April, May, and then things start growing. You're like, uh-oh. And then you get June, July when things are just like, pretty much full blown growing to the sky. And you're like, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. So I'll get this as coherent as I possibly can. Hope you enjoy it. And for those of you who have not seen videos before, I am in Northeast Tennessee, Zone 7A. So that means we can get really bad winters or very mild winters. We kind of had a up and hill winter this year. Started off early October, not just with a frost, but with a hard freeze. And then it was cold, mild, cold, mild, cold, mild. We had a really hard frost at Christmas. We had a really hard frost the weekend of St. Patrick's Day. And it was just one of those things where, you think, okay, the worst part is over. You can start seriously thinking about getting stuff out in the garden. And then we get another hard frost. For some reason, I was lucky. My fruit trees didn't start really blooming. They were starting to bud out at the St. Patrick's Day freeze. But it looks like most of them have survived. So I have a chance, crossing the fingers, that I might get some fruit. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 apple trees now and 2 pear trees, all that have blossomed. So I might get some fruit. I think I've got video clips of that in there in this video. But yeah, so between this video and the video that I shot, I think it was 10 days later because it was just a couple of days ago that I actually did this. This is Friday the 14th right now. So it's been 10 days since that last, so maybe a little over a week. Time has no meaning, especially when you don't pay attention to the calendar. No. But so, if you watch this video and then you watch the next video, hopefully you can see a little bit of a change, in how things are growing, and maybe get some tips of how you can do things on the cheap like I've been doing. Because these days I'm all about the cheap because I can't afford the good stuff. A lot of people can't. All right, so enjoy, and we'll become more coherent as spring progresses because I think I'm still recovering from hibernation from this winter. Actually, I think I was a little bit more lively in the wintertime. We'll see. So when I pruned back some of my elderberries, I took some of the trimmings and stuck them in this tall raised bed that I have. So there's 5 of them in here, and it looks like all 5. My grapes all seem to be flowering, or at least budding out. This little guy down here isn't doing as well, but I'm gonna let it go a little bit longer. I have another grape I can put in there. We are leafing out. This is Wednesday, April 5th, and it's a very hot day today. It got up to mid-80s. Not happy. I planted some potatoes, and as you can see, they're starting to come up. I basically did these guys about a foot apart. This is a 4x4 bed, so I've got 16 potato plants in here. I have more potatoes that I'm going to do in containers, but I just got some potting soil today, so I'll be doing that here in a bit. But yay. These guys have been in the ground sometime mid-March, so it's been about 3 weeks, I guess. But might have potatoes. Here's my garlic. This is like a 4x8 bed. That the garlics are anywhere from 4 to 6 inches apart. I had some little extras, so I may have filled in little gaps here and there. They got, as you can see by these leaves here, they kind of got touched with that frost we had middle of right after around St. Patrick's Day, but they're coming back and they're really growing. I'll probably have to come out here in a week or two and fertilize them again. I fertilized the soil, got some organic fertilizer in and mixed in the soil before I planted last October. I'll probably have to come in here and do some more here in a week or so. So hopefully I'll have some gigantor garlic. So here's probably shouldn't do that. So garlic. And this stuff will come out probably in June, and then I'll be able to get my sweet potato slips in here and have sweet potatoes in the bed. So these are my poor neglected. These are actually wild roses that I took cuttings from a plant over at my parents' house. And the reason why I did it is because those roses were like a really dark pink, almost purple, as opposed to the wild roses that are in that maple tree right over there. Those just have the white flowers, which nothing wrong with white, but I really like the pinky red colors. But my poor little, my little thing to hold it up, this thing's been here for 3 years. Very poorly put together. I made absolutely, as you can see, no attempt at 90-degree angles or anything like that. And it was very cheap. I think it was actually, probably got this in before, it may be more than 3 years old, because I remember the wood was pretty cheap. I mean, I probably spent less than $20 on wood and the screws to secure everything. And that windstorm that we had earlier this week, was it Saturday? I mean, this is a windy place at the best of times, but I was seriously concerned about, going to visit the Wizard of Oz as much as it was blowing. As you can see, strip of the siding came off, and there's a spot in the back of the house that's also gone gollywompers, but I'm just glad I still have a roof and I still have a house. Okay, so this is the little cement bed that I put in last year. I had gotten some boysenberry plants from Baker Creek, and I didn't have a place to put them when I got the plants, you know, the little bare root plants, and I went ahead and put them in pot. I actually got 2 plants and put them in a secure place for later, and then kind of sort of forgot about them. And then by the time I remembered them, they had actually grown, and the canes had gone over into some more soil and rooted from the tips. So I basically ended up, instead of 2 plants, I ended up planting 3 plants here, and then I've got an extra that I've kept sequestered in my basement over the winter, just in case one of these guys didn't do well, or all 3, I'd still have a plant. So this is another one of those beds. I need the capper stones on top. And then this is my raspberry. This is an Ann raspberry, and it's cut way back because I had it actually planted in an old tire, and it dried out pretty easily. So I kind of basically did a last ditch. I just kind of basically cut everything off down to the ground and then mounded soil on top to protect the roots. And then here they come. So with any luck, I will have some yellow raspberries and some boysenberries. Okay, so here are the lavender plants. This is my phenomenal lavender, which is there we go. It's going, why isn't this backing out the frame I was on? Close up. So this guy is about 2 feet by maybe 3 feet diameter. And when I first bought this plant 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, it was in a little 2-inch pot and maybe 3 inches high, so it's grown really well, as opposed to these regular lavender plants that they're growing, but they're obviously not as phenomenal, as my phenomenal. And so this bed, this is definitely a Mediterranean type bed. I have to get some, I probably should have put compost in here last fall. Things are dying back, but haven't gotten to it. But I do need to get some compost on here. And I also need to cut those 2 lavenders back a little bit so they're not quite so straggly. And here's my poor little kiddie pool temporary bed. As you can see, I've been taking stuff out. It is falling apart so bad. During the windstorm, I was finding pieces of blue plastic way up there in the hayfield. So I've got a couple of square feet there that I have to remove. And I've just been basically, I had mint in here. Mint and, I can't remember if it was bee balm or lemon mint. But either way, I'm just moving it. I'm taking a shovel full at a time and taking it up here in this bare area and putting it in here. You can see there's some starting to come back, and it may root, it may not. If it doesn't, the soil will stay behind, but I have a feeling it's gonna do well. Oops. You can see the bees are buzzing. I've got these 3 hives, made it through the winter. The 2 hives on the right there did not make it. The single one on there on the left is okay. I caught a swarm on Saturday, right before that big wind storm that we got. Had been tornadoes to our west, but luckily we just got a lot of wind. And so I put the swarm in that one that's all the way to the far right. And then I've got the one that's kind of in the middle for in case anyone else decides they want to swarm. So there's 2, 5, and then that white hive there at the back of the yard there, in the backyard, that has bees in it. I think that's where the swarm came from. And I haven't been able to get into it to check and see if I need to switch boxes. The box on the left it actually died out back in January. And I'm actually going to move that hive, even though I kind of like having it in the backyard. It's just in a weird, the way the ground slants there, it's kind of hard to balance sometimes. So I'm going to just move the entire hive and just put that back, the entire section there, that little planter for all flowers. It was a nice attempt, but I got other places to put beehives. Okay, so this is my newest project. I had originally, let's go back here and look at these guys. So I had originally put these plastic edger plastic things around the post and put some, garden soil and stuff in it and made some plantings. So I had 4 of those for all 4 of these posts, and it was just kind of a bear to weed whack in between and mow. So I decided what I'd go ahead and do is I got 6 of these landscape timbers, because they're actually cheaper than lumber right now. Don't know how long that's going to last. And so what I'm basically going to do, as you can see what I did, is I put together the timbers using these brackets, and it's not perfect. I'm just kind of basically using it to fill in. I'm going to do get some bricks under that to kind of help keep the soil from falling out. And then I did these corner brackets to connect the 2 ends. So the ends are 30 inches long, and then the ends are supposedly 3 inches wide, maybe a little bit. So basically it's about 3 feet wide, width. And then again, I already had some plantings in here, put down the cardboard, and then I got some good compost. Here's my comfrey, and there's some violets that are coming up from the old little planting area that I had. I've got my Lenten rose that I always forget about until too late, but it's been putting on a show. It's got nice little dark flowers, so I'm kind of liking that. And there's another one that's about to open up. So Lenten roses are one of the first things to kind of bloom in this area, and so I'm kind of digging that one. I may get into more of them later as I get more space. More violets. And you'll notice I've got some violets that have kind of self-seeded. These are, I want to say this is a variety called Freckles. I actually grew those. I grew these intentionally. There's a lot of people in here probably going, why did you do that? I like violets. I don't mind them. And so this must be a little hybrid. I've got these little great knee-high purple ones. I like those too. And then this is a little rose. It's a climbing rose. I actually got it. It was a little bare root plant that I got at Walmart, of all places. I have been looking. The hard thing about doing climbing roses is that you either get the colors you want with no fragrance, or you get fragrance and, kind of a bleh color. And I'm not really a big, light pink kind of girl, but I was just sick and tired of waiting for my perfect rose to come along. So I've had this one actually in its little, wrapped in the paper with wet, damp sphagnum moss wrapped around the roots, and then in the plastic bag with a little wire tie on it. And it's been in the thing for a good 3 weeks, at least 3 weeks. And every time I came up, I put it in a bucket so I could kind of keep an eye on it. And every time I came out and looked at it, it was more and more greening out and that kind of thing. So I finally decided I've got to make this bed and get the soil down so I can get this planted. So this went in yesterday morning, Wednesday, maybe Monday morning. So 36 to 48 hours, something like that. And so far it seems to be doing okay. I need to get some wood chips on top so it doesn't dry out quickly. But so far it seems to be doing okay. And so I'm hoping, because you can see here kind of like where the soil is cracking on top. And it doesn't help have little kitty cat footprints going through here. But we'll thwart them. So I got about maybe 60% of the bed, because this is 8/16. So 21.5 feet or so long, and then the 3 feet wide. This monstrosity right here, this is my hops, which is vastly overgrown, but it's another thing that I kind of forgot about. Usually I come out and winnow out the little shoots that come out. So what I'm going to have to do is find some kind of barrier to put down here to keep the hops segregated from the rest of my plantings here, and the same thing on this side. So I just went and got more compost that I used over there today, and then tomorrow it's supposed to be, knock on wood, cooler than it's today. I am not a warm weather girl by any stretch of the imagination, so I don't care if it's raining tomorrow, I'm still gonna come out here and do this. And then I'm just gonna have to wait and see. This one, the ring has to come off. Put some cardboard down, put the mulch down. This guy, I don't know, I may just go ahead and keep this ring on here, kind of keep it corralled a little bit. But I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how tough it is to get off. I may have to do some weed whacking to cut down some of these shoots. But yeah, so I am in East Tennessee. It gets very humid here, and everything I've ever heard is you can't grow hops well here because they'll succumb to the humidity and the heat and all kind of stuff. They're more of a Pacific Southwest kind of deal. But I don't know, this one little plant, I don't know if this is just a good spot for it, or if I'm just ignoring what I'm supposed to do and having beginner's luck. I have no idea. And yeah, it does have hops. It starts setting hops around the summer solstice, and then by end of September and October, the hops will be ready to pick, and you can use them to make tea and sleep pillows and things like that. Mostly what I use it for, because you can see I didn't pull down last year's thingies. It goes all the way up to the top of the deck, and would very gladly go even further if I had trellises and stuff set up there, but I don't. And they just very happily, and they make this nice little sunscreen, so I can have seedlings on my little table over here if I don't want them to get too much sun. What are you doing, Beaker? Say hello, Beaker. Hi. I know you wanted to catch that mama killdeer, didn't you? Don't do that. He caught a vole the other day and tried to take it in the house. That was not a good thing. Okay, apple tree flowering time. So this weird looking thing is an apple tree that I grew from seed. And this little guy right here, I've had this, it's been going for it's 2019, somewhere around there. And this branch I grafted on, I believe this is the graft. This is from this little section right here is the graft that I did of my Golden Delicious apple tree. That's not doing very well. And so it's flowering for the first time. And this is, again, ugly little thing here that I pruned off. This is a graft from right here of my Pink Lady apple. And it's starting to flower. So the rest of this stuff is just from the apple, the original seed apple. But I'm noticing, where did it go? I just saw flowers. Where was it? Right up there at the very top. So, if those actually come to fruition, I might be able to see what the actual result of my experiment was. So this is the Pink Lady that I had grafted in a extension class in 2019, and it's flowering big time. And this is one of my pear trees that I also grafted. And there's my other one, also flowering. So this is the first year they've been flowering. Pink Lady's flowered before. This is my Granny Smith apple. That's flowering. That's my Baptisia bush. That will probably start, yep, it's starting to bud out. So they'll be flowering here in the next couple of weeks. Bees flying in and out, yay. Oh, good, the crazy rose is coming back. It was leafing out big time back before that big freeze we got a couple weeks ago. When was that? Like the 19th or so. It was leafing out so nicely and it got totally wrecked, but it's coming back. This is the poor little Golden Delicious that I did a drastic pruning back on in January, early February, just because it was just looking really weird. And then this poor little thing, this is a red rome that it's got flowers on it too. So I guess my apple tree is like tough love or something. Ooh, let's see if the fig is coming out. Hey. We see any shoots? Nothing yet. Last year was the first year that this fig actually started growing from the previous year's growth. Usually I just have to cut everything back to the ground, but we had such weird, hard periods of winter, really hard freezing, and then periods of normalcy that it may possibly need to be all cut back, but I'll hang out here for a little while longer. I actually do have 2 new figs that I did from cuttings last fall that are getting close to needing to put in the ground here. And it Looks like I need to weed whack and mow again. But oh well. Spring is here. Okay, guys, that was it. A little rambly, but a lot of stuff in there. And it's looking like it's like 30 odd minutes long. So we'll wrap this up. Hope you enjoyed it. And the next tour, not going to be the same exact stuff, but I'm going to, basically touch on highlights and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you come back and see the next one that should be posted probably Sunday, Monday, something like that. Or 3 weeks from now. It just kind of sort of depends on whatever other emergencies come up and presidents and that kind of good stuff. Right. So y'all have a good day, and hopefully see you back here in a couple of days. Crossing the fingers. How come I can't cross my fingers anymore? Oh well. Bye.